Welcome to Business Middle East. In this episode, we shed light on the interest rate debate in Turkey and take a business snapshot of the latest kiss of life for Greece. For months, the Turkish central bank had been resisting an interest rate cut. However, they made the move last week despite the Turkish president's opposition and renewed criticism of central bank policymakers. The Turkish lira is at record low levels against the dollar, and economists are sceptical about the extent of the Turkish central bank's independence. Our correspondent in Istanbul has this report.
After months of debate, the Turkish central bank took the decision to cut interest rates by 25 basis points. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan and some government ministers have been critical, saying a cut of 25 BPs isn't enough to revive the economy. But the action does have support from economists. According to the central bank data and according to global trends, the bank has made an objective decision, which I like as an economist. So I believe the decision the central bank took is right, although the president says the opposite. I wonder if he wants higher foreign exchange rates. Is there an implicit thought of devaluation? Criticism by Erdogan of the central bank governor affected the Turkish lira negatively, and it fell against the dollar to reach its lowest level on Friday at 2.53. Is the decision of cutting interest rates in Turkey political or economic? Our correspondent asks. There are different views, and it seems the central bank will be under the spotlight in the coming months.
Tartışmaların odak noktasında kalacak. Euronews Business Middle East için Bora Bayraktar, İstanbul.
For more on this, we're joined by Noor Eldin Al-Hamari, Chief Market Strategist at ADS Securities in Abu Dhabi. Noor, how do you see the Turkish central bank's decision to cut interest rates? Is it more political or economic? And is it the best way to revive Turkey's economy?
Well, Daleen, we've seen significant pressure from the government on the Central Bank of Turkey recently. The pressure could be part of a government agenda ahead of the elections. The Central Bank is very cautious in its decisions, like any other central bank facing such challenging times. And in relation to the economic data, these decisions should not be connected with the government or subject to interference by it. Last August, the central bank raised rates sharply after the inflation rate approached 10% due to the collapse of the Turkish lira. The economic situation in Turkey isn't encouraging as the economy is growing at a slower pace than before. The fourth quarter of 2014 showed a growth rate of 1.7%, which is the lowest since 2012. Therefore, cutting rates may be the only thing the bank can do, despite the ongoing decline of the lira, unless the bank decided to intervene in the foreign exchange markets to buy lira to stop the collapse. However, these decisions by the central bank will continue to curb the growth rate, and the economy may slide back into recession this year.
لكن هذه الإجراءات مرة أخرى تبقى ضعيفة في أو قد يعود أيضا مرة أخرى الاقتصاد التركي إلى الركود مرة أخرى خلال العام الجاري.
Noor, stay with us for our business snapshot. Turning to Greece, the extension of the debt repayment period is considered by some as the kiss of life that saved the country's economy. Others are sceptical, however. The Bank of Greece governor highlighted the risk of pressure on the country's liquidity. Here's the business snapshot.
The last-minute agreement to extend Greece's bailout for another 4 months is an important step for Tsipras' government, which has promised to carry out further reforms. The Bank of Greece governor had asked the government to make the necessary reforms and to reach a final agreement with creditors in order to stabilise banks' liquidity. The banks, after the recent increase in capital, have a sufficient capital base, but the pressures that liquidity is facing, particularly in the past few months, remain strong. The main element that will ease the completion of the agreement is progress in the implementation of overdue reforms. But many Greeks fear new austerity plans arising from the leftist government's promise to creditors to make effective reforms.
نور ما هو تعليقك على
Noor, what are your thoughts on the liquidity in Greek banks? Do you think the latest agreement will be successful?
النجاح بتنفيذ هذه الخطة خلال الأشهر القادمة؟
For the banks, as the central bank chief said, we might see a liquidity stabilisation after the Greek deal. However, the same tensions may show up again this summer and may lead to another wave of outflows, especially if the government fails to ask for another extension and/or if a political crisis showed up, particularly after the government disappointed some people by retreating on their demands. Therefore, the best thing to do to maintain stability is to find a structural solution. The prospect of a Greek exit has been there for more than 5 years now. Each time the government found a solution at the last minute with the Eurogroup, and there's no other solution for the Eurogroup but to keep bailing out Greece for the time being. Because if Greece defaults, this is a failure not only for Greece but for the Eurozone as a whole.
Noor, thanks for being with us. That's all for now. Share your comments via our Facebook page, Euronews Business. Thanks for watching. See you next week.
شكرا لحسن المتابعة. إلى اللقاء.